Good evening. Now don't worry, your television sets haven't gone wrong, nor have your eyes. The audience tonight is full of twins, identical twins, and let me tell you, it's been uncanny. After the 10th pair had arrived at the front door, the commissionaire thought he was going mad and had to be physically carried off into the bar. So, as you can imagine, one of our questions tonight is about twins. And here to answer that question, and many others of course, and we welcome a newcomer. First of all, David Taylor, globe-trotting vet who looks after the world's most exotic animals. Magnus Pyke, Dr. Magnus Pyke, as ever. And Dr. Miriam Stoppard. So, first of all, let's go to the first set of twins here on my right, as they have a question.
How identical are identical twins?
What about that in perfect unison? Magnus, in unison. How identical are identical twins?
Well, have you looked at each other recently? And all the rest of you? Well, twins are, identical twins are very much the same because of the fact that they share the same genes. Now, the genes that you have are little bits of the chemical molecule of heredity which decide whether you're going to have mother's nose and father's chin and grandfather's mouth, and whether your hair is going to be curly, and so on and so on. In other words, your physical characteristic is decided by the genes which you get partly from your father and partly from your mother. And when you're twins, you share exactly the same genes between the two of you, if you're identical. In fact, genes also decide whether you can curl your tongue sideways. Look. Now, you see, I beg your pardon, I can't curl my tongue sideways. Derek, get them to stick their tongues out and see if they can curl their tongue sideways.
Well, I'm fascinated. First of all, I'll just see if I can manage it.
Yeah, do.
How's that?
That's very good. Very good, I can't do it.
Right, I did that without curling tongues, too. Now, could you mind, everybody, put your tongues out. Oh, my God. They look like those things they serve up at parties with sticks through them, don't they? Eh? Now, can anybody, what about you two fellas here? Phil and Peter. Yes, they can curl those. How's that, Magnus? What a pretty picture.
Yes, and they both do it.
Anybody else? No. Anybody else manage it? Yes, just hands up just to prove that you can. Right, there's quite a lot. Now, twins that can't. You can't do it.
No.
You can't do it. What about yours here? Can you get the camera to the... Now, let's just sit. Come on. No, come on. No, put it out now. Now, that's a pointed one, a fine pointed specimen, Magnus. But this lady's blunt. So, what about that?
Well, you see, if you're identical twins, you could either both curl your tongue like that, or neither of you can. Now, another funny thing about identical twins, although they're identical, they can be different, if you understand me. In fact, you can have, as it were, one twin can have a birthmark, a birthmark on the right-hand side, and the other can have the same birthmark on the left-hand side, or you may have a tooth that is odd and needs filling on one side, and your identical twin may have a tooth that needs filling on the other side. Another thing, you may have a whorl on the top of your head, you know, where your hair goes round like that, and for one twin it may be one side, and for one twin it may be the other side. Now, what can you see about that over there, Derek?
We're just looking now. Now, tilt your head, come on, and do as you're told. No, well, they're both the same, Magnus. Has anybody else got a whirl on their head? Let's have a quick look. Ah, they're the same. They're not opposite, Magnus. They're all elaborate bouffons, most of these, and the fellas, too. No, hasn't anybody got a whirl? No. Oh, fellas, just put your heads down. Ah, yes. One on the left, one on the right. Thank God for that, Magnus.
Good. That's interesting. Now, you see, up till now, I've been talking about identical twins, and this means to say there are other kinds of twins. Because if you're identical twins, what happens is there is a single egg, and this divides into two. And this is one fertile egg, which would normally turn into one person, and in fact it turns into two persons, and then you're identical. There's another form of twins whereby, in fact, there are two eggs, and people are just born together, and those are no more alike than are actually brothers and sisters. Now, it's quite important to find out whether you're identical twins or whether you're what is called fraternal twins. It goes with sisters as well. And what I have here a test that we're going to do. You see, we have these two ladies here, Zoe and Gay, and as you can see, I need not describe it, they are twins. Question, are they identical or are they fraternal? Will you be my brother? Fraternal means a brother, never mind. Now here we have two other twins. We have Joe and Pat, Again, are they identical or are they fraternal? And then assisting me, I have Judy here, who, as you may gather, if you've looked over my shoulder, is also a twin, but also she is a scientist in her own right, and in fact is studying twins. And we've got her sister here, who is also assisting, so that we can do the test. Now, we do a number of tests to see if they are identical or if they're fraternal. And the first kind of test we can do is to test their footprints. Now, let's do the testing of the footprints. Now, yes, righto. You don't mind, of course, you're going to make the back of your foot black. Very professional. Good, good, good. Of course, we could have done the fingerprints, but the footprints are really rather more interesting. They're also a little bit out of the ordinary. And when you make your success on the films, you're proud to put your feet in wet concrete, so this is absolutely nothing. Now, if we have a good look here, if you look very carefully here, you can see that these, in fact, are different. This one here has a particular which is called a loop here near the little finger. Did you know you had a loop in your beg your pardon, on the little toe, which is different, so that this is one sign that you, in fact, are fraternal twins. You're one of the fraternal twins. And these two here, yes, you'd agree? They're pretty identical. Now, there's another way you can tell that identical twins have identically shaped, well, I'm only one, identically shaped ears. So now if we could have a look at the ears, would you look at this ear? Now have a good look at it. Now keep it there. Now look at that ear. I mean, this ear, well, anyway, never mind. We won't make a joke about that. That's too terrible. Thank you very much. You're going to look at it. Now then, if you look at this ear. Now, it's an interesting thing, I hope you can see it, that these girls' ears are exactly the same, and these girls' ears are, in fact, different. You've got a little thingy, you know, on the... It's quite all right, don't worry about that. Now, these are tests you can easily do, but perhaps the best and most decisive test is the blood grouping, the blood tests. Because, as you know, bloods differ from each other and also differ quite subtly. Now, because the blood test is rather a complicated thing, we have, in fact, done the blood tests before this program, and I think you've got their blood tests, haven't you, Judy? If you'll put the blood tests up, and you'll put this other blood test up, and the conclusion is rather interesting. These two girls, their blood tests were, as you might imagine, they're identical, because, gentlemen, you must admit, although they're both stunners, they're both exceedingly closely alike. You don't mind my saying, obviously, everybody must say that. And this is very interesting, because these two girls, their blood tests are very much the same. In fact, they're the same in every respect but one. In every respect but one. So on these tests, we now can decide that these two ladies are fraternal twins, and these two are identical twins. Now, all this talk about identical twins, you might say, why is it important? And the answer is, it is very important to know, because identical twins can give us information that it's not possible to get in any other way. Now, everyone who's got children knows how difficult it is to make up your mind when a child grows up and develops, whether what they become is due to the household environment, you know, the way they've been taught and the various circumstances in which they live, whether they're going to be a delinquent and so on, or whether it's to do with their, in fact, their family inheritance, their heredity. And one way of telling, which scientists would dearly like to get hold of, would be identical twins, where the hereditary is identical, who were in fact separated in early youth so that their environment was quite different. Because then if you had one child, for example, who became very brainy and went to the university, you might say, he's brainy because his parents were brainy. It might not be that at all, it might be the way he's trained. So there you have the reason that identical twins are very closely the same, which is the answer to your question, and it's a very important question to ask.
Now, Kathy and Margaret on my right were separated at 16 months. And there was an interval of 35 years before they met again. Now, how did you know that you had a twin? Did you know at all?
No, I didn't know until I got married in 1942. And when my birth certificate went to the registrar, he wanted to know if there was going to be a double wedding, because he said, oh, you are a twin. And I didn't know I was a twin at all.
Now, when you finally met, obviously you both looked alike.
Yes.
But what else was there that you noticed that was similar?
Well, the first thing we said when we met was, are you married? And we said yes, and we found that we were married in the same year.
That's incredible. Do you both eat the same things? Do you have the same dislikes and likes?
Sure.
You do? You do. What about this telepathy thing, where one twin feels a pain and the other one feels the same thing? Have you experienced that kind of telepathy?
Now and again we have, haven't we? Yes.
I've broached on the subject you don't want to talk about.
No.
Tell me about your aches and pains. What did you notice?
Well, at one time I had pain in my knee, and I happened to get in touch with Margaret, and I said, oh, I said, I've had a dreadful knee. And she said, and not so very long afterwards she had the same, but hers was in the opposite knee.
So you had it in... So you had it in
So
the...
it made the pair.
Now, has anybody else, quickly in the audience, has anybody else ever experienced telepathy of that nature? You have? Chap in the blue, on the right, yeah.
My twin brother, he broke his nose, and when he went on operating theatre to get it reset, mine were bleeding at home for an hour while he was under the table. Yeah.
While he was actually on the operating table? Goodness gracious. There you go. Well, I used to experience the same kind of telepathy when I was a child, because when my mother used to hit me round the ear, she used to say to me, this is hurting me more than it's hurting you. Same sort of telepathy. And now a question about ants. Not whether they're identical, but, well, let the lady speak for herself.
Something I've always wanted to know is it true that some ants actually run their own farms?
Yes, indeed, you're absolutely right, Miss Bame. Some ants do indeed farm. And apart from termites, their close relatives, and man himself, they're the only animals on Earth that are known to do so. And we've brought you some farming ants over from South America, and here they are actually at work. Now, these ants are actually in the mushroom growing business. And here we've got some mushroom beds that they've built. And of course, to grow mushrooms, you need compost. Now, let's see what they're doing over here. This is where the ants are out with the plants, cutting away at the leaves and the petals. We've got roses here and some privets. They're chipping away at the leaves and dropping them down onto the table here. And you can see some of the ants picking up little pieces of leaf and petal and taking it across this string bridge here back to the mushroom farm itself. And they don't eat any of this leaf themselves at all. They simply bring it back to the mushroom beds and chew it all up and spit on it and urinate on it, and then they plant the fungus in it and it grows. And indeed, it grows so well that these animals subsist on it purely for their food. Yes, there's one about to carry now. Yes. Here he goes. Yes, after cutting that leaf into 3 pieces, he's managed to take a suitably sized chunk. It must be almost as heavy as himself, if not heavier. He's carrying it nicely across the bridge now. That's why these animals are sometimes called parasol ants. It looks as if they're carrying some sort of sun umbrella above their heads. He's having a little difficulty. It's stuck in the string. But he'll work at it. He's got it free again. And off he goes. Upside down this time, but still going. Back to the nest. To turn it into compost. Oh, he's making good speed. Straight over the top of another one. Still going. But now, away he goes now, towards the farm. Up he goes. He's almost there. It looks as if they may be going to chop it up into smaller pieces just before moving it in actually onto the mushroom beds. And it's a very peculiar fungus indeed, because man has never been able to grow it. No matter what he's done, scientists haven't been able to grow this fungus in the laboratory. Now, the plant is very carefully watered, the humidity is controlled by the ants, and as the fungus grows, the plants are trimmed and pruned so that they don't get too long and stringy and go to seed. They like to keep them nice and plump and succulent so that they're good for eating. And the males have got great big eyes and very special speed wings. In fact, they fly off rather like fighter planes after the females, and they might mate high up in the sky, and then, unfortunately, the males die. But the females drop down to earth, strip off their wings, and then they burrow down into the soil and start off a new nest. And this is the interesting thing. Each of those females is carrying with her a sort of dowry. In her cheeks, she carries little pouches filled with this precious fungus. And with this, she plants her own garden and lays her eggs in it when she founds her new home. So you're quite right, Miss Bain. There's definitely farming in the ant community.
I didn't know that ants were as industrious as that. Miss Bain, did you know that ants were as amazing as all that?
Yes, I knew they were pretty amazing. I've got a garden full of them.
I must watch mine in future. Mind you, I can remember doing terrible things to ants when I was a kid, which I won't go into. Aren't kids horrible? Mind you, they're harmless when they're young, like babies.
Chicka, 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 chicka. Ah, you got a nickel-wickle pussycat there. Oh, don't choose your handy pandies. Don't chew your handy pandies.
Why do people talk to babies like that?
Well, Mrs. Leveson, that's a question that I find very interesting, because in fact I've been on both sides of the fence. Until 2 years ago, I was one of those skeptics who thought that baby talk was really rather silly and a bit pointless. And then I had my own baby. Within a few minutes of actually holding him, I found that I couldn't resist the urge to start talking to him baby talk. And as he got older, of course, he began to respond to me, which pleased me enormously. And that, in turn, made me talk to him even more. And I found eventually that he was actually leading me. He was calling the shots. He was actually making the conversation with me. Now, we mums may be actually right, because there are child behaviorists who are doing experiments into baby talk, and they found out that it's not just a question of mothers talking to babies, but babies talking to mothers.
Come on, clever boy. Great big smile for Mummy. Come on, big smile for Mummy. Oh, you clever boy. Clever boy, that was lovely.
At laboratories in Edinburgh, psychologists are eavesdropping on one of the world's most well-rehearsed conversations. And until now, it's also been one of the most one-sided conversations. Mum making a fool of herself while baby makes faces. But close study of babies like Ben is making the experts think again. Now they not only believe that a baby can take part in a conversation, but in a chat with Mum, it will actually take the lead. Just watch what happens when Mum says hello.
Hello.
Well, did you catch that? His hand went up as if to say hello back.
Got great big eyes.
But that could have been the indiscriminate random movements of any baby at any time.
Come on.
What makes it convincing is what happens when Mum says hello a second time.
Who is it? Say hello, Mummy. Come on. Hello, Ben.
Now there's that same movement again. It's exactly like the wave we give when we suddenly spot a friend across the street. The big surprise is to find it in a newborn baby, and not just once, but as part of a regular pattern of communication. At the same time, the way Ben shapes his mouth is regarded as another infallible clue to the moment of recognition.
Come on, Ben. Ooh.
Now, as the conversation continues, watch how Ben reacts with his tongue.
Maybe there. Great big one. Come on. Big smile. Come on. Come on, clever boy.
The old idea was that this cheeky poking with the tongue was the baby repeating feeding movements. But any mum knows that it's quite different from the way a baby sucks. And now the experts who have been studying these babies believe that it may represent the earliest attempts to join in the conversation. Now, in the film, we actually looked at arms and hand movements, that sort of wave movement that the baby made, the shape of his mouth and his tongue, but you may have noticed that other parts of his body were moving. In fact, his hands were making sort of little grabbing movements, his feet were kicking. He, in fact, was moving his whole body. He was trying to communicate with his whole body. He was sending out messages. And if one looks at that carefully enough and often enough, there is a recognizable pattern. Now, little Ben Brown is only 7 weeks old, and his movements and his desire to communicate must be instinctive, because he's certainly too young to be imitating these movements, and he's too young to have learnt them. Now, if it's an instinct, then comes the important question, do all babies have this instinct? Do mothers and babies all over the world, for instance, take part in baby talk? Does a Chinese mother talk to her baby in the same way? Now, we have Mrs. Downer in the studio this evening, who is Chinese, and she has her lovely baby, Alison. And Mrs. Downer, I wonder if you'd just let us hear what Chinese baby talk sounds like.
Quay lại mà, quay lại hả? Thấy bên đâu, thấy bên đâu? Thấy bên nào hả? Thấy,咁多人嗰度啊，嚇？流口水。
Well, you can see, in fact, you can hear that the sound is very similar to the sound that we English mothers make. There's that lovely lilting, soothing sound with a rhythm and a gentle pattern. In fact, it's almost as though there was an international baby talk language. Now, American scientists have actually put this to the test. There, sweetheart. Oh, dear. Oh, dear. It's all right. It's all right. American scientists have actually put this to the test. They took an American mum with an American baby and a Chinese mother, the Chinese baby, and swapped them over so that the American mother spoke American baby talk to the Chinese baby and vice versa. And they found that it actually worked. The babies were soothed and the babies did react. And I was wondering if we could just try a similar sort of experiment in the studio this evening. So, Mrs. Downer, would you like to give Alison to Mrs. Leveson? And Mrs. Downer, you take Nicholas. There we go. And just see how the baby talk goes in different languages. Would you speak in Chinese to Nicholas? Well, it very obviously works, doesn't it? The babies are quite happy. Yes. There's obviously a very strong entente cordiale between these babies and mothers. Well, the experiment obviously worked, but experiments on baby talk go far and beyond baby talk itself for its own sake. In fact, some of the experiments that are taking part in America are being paid for by the United States Air Force. The reason they're interested in baby talk is that they think it may teach men how to talk to machines. And it is amazing to think of Ben Brown up in Edinburgh helping on such a project.
No, it's not mine, although you may have noticed. I'm just going to see if I can communicate. We're paying you good money, you know. Let's try other languages. Have you ever tried foreign languages?
No, but do feel really...
About Nigerian. Do you know what I said? What about Little Irish? When Irish eyes are smiling. You don't like my voice either, do you? What about another accent? Try some Yorkshire. I don't know Yorkshire, actually. Yeah. Well, unfortunately... sorry, that's all we've got time for tonight. So, from Magnus and David and Miriam and myself and Sarah, good night. If you have any questions, send it on a postcard to Don't Ask Me, P.O. Box 500, Leeds, LS1 1TW.